My fellow boxing fans, you've tuned in to the Boxing Scholar. I am Marz, and this Saturday, September 8th, a significant match in the welterweight division will be taking place when Danny "Swift" Garcia, with his 6 toes and all, will be fighting Shawn "Showtime" Porter with his Shane Mosley nostrils. They'll be fighting for the WBC Welterweight Title that Keith Thurman vacated because of inactivity due to injuries and being at the park playing the flute. Danny Garcia, who is favored to win according to odds makers, and his talkative and delusional father Angel Garcia, will be entering the ring with a record of 34 wins and 24 knockouts, with his only loss coming from a decision defeat against Keith Thurman in March of last year. There were competitive moments, but Keith Thurman clearly outboxed, outhit, and clearly deserved the decision against Danny Garcia. Now, many fans, including myself, felt that Danny should have lost the decision against Mauricio Herrera back in 2014. I did think Danny lost. Herrera fought well, and Danny did not look that good that night. Now, that could be because he was overlooking and underestimating Herrera, and he also may have been distracted because he was fighting in Puerto Rico. And Danny has expressed that fighting in Puerto Rico was one of his dreams that he wanted to accomplish in his boxing career. But who knows, I just thought Herrera won, and the judges gave it to Danny instead. Now, boxing fans also feel that Danny didn't deserve the decision victory over Lamont Peterson back in 2015. Now, I did give that one to Danny. I just felt Lamont gave a lot of the early rounds away by moving and not doing much. But once Lamont started moving forward and applying pressure, he was putting it on Danny. And he was clearly winning the late rounds, and I just feel Lamont should have started walking down Danny from the beginning. I mean, it's possible Lamont felt it wasn't the right time to go at Danny in the first few rounds and was just waiting for the right time. Who knows? But yeah, Garcia-Peterson fight could have gone either way. It was close. Now, Shawn Porter will be entering the ring with a record of 28 wins with 17 knockouts. Shawn Porter has suffered 2 losses, one to Kell Brook back in 2014 in a competitive fight, but I felt Brook won. He landed the more effective and cleaner blows. And his other loss came against Keith Thurman back in 2016 in a very, very competitive fight. It was a barn burner. It was definitely a candidate for Fight of the Year. I had it scored for Keith Thurman, though there were some fans that felt Porter deserved the decision. It was a close fight. It was a much, much more competitive fight than Danny Garcia's fight with Keith Thurman. Porter also has a draw in his record, and that came against Julio Diaz. At the time, Julio Diaz was past his better days, but that fight against Porter was one of his last hurrahs. It was a surprisingly good performance by Diaz. It was close and could have gone either way, and the judges called it a draw. Porter would later rematch Diaz, and he clearly won the second fight. Porter won the second fight, clearly. Now, when it comes to determining who I feel is going to win the fight, I look at a lot of different factors. And one of those factors is wins over quality opponents. Danny Garcia has the edge in that category by a lot. Garcia has wins over Nate Campbell, Kendall Holt, Eric Morales, and though a couple of those guys were past their prime, they were still pretty good and offered experience. I'd say Danny Garcia's biggest wins came against Amir Khan, who was the WBA champion at the time and the favorite to win. Zab Judah, who quite a few fans thought was going to defeat Garcia. I wasn't one of those fans, by the way. And perhaps his biggest win came against Lucas Matisse, who many fans and experts picked to knock out Danny Garcia. Now, I picked Danny to win that fight. But coming into the fight, Lucas Matisse was looked at as an undefeated fighter by some fans, even though he had 2 losses in his record. Personally, I thought Matisse deserved decision victories over both Devin Alexander and Zab Judah, which were Matisse's only 2 defeats in his record at the time. And Danny Garcia beat Matisse. It was a competitive and entertaining fight, which also was on the undercard of the Money Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez fight. It was a good fight. Even Danny Garcia even scored a knockdown against Matisse, and he clearly won a decision. Now, Shawn Porter isn't without any quality wins. He has wins over Devin Alexander, Paulie Malignaggi, who Porter absolutely demolished. And Porter also has a win over Adrian Broner, who Porter just outworked. Now, quality of opposition isn't the only factor in determining who is going to win. You also have to look at how their styles mesh. And Shawn Porter loves moving forward, head first, throwing power shots. He does have the ability to box and move, but the majority of his big fights, Porter is the one moving forward, roughing up his opponent, pushing them back, punching during the clinch. And as he moves forward, he can hit you with his head as well. Now, see, I don't think he tries to do that purposely, but that's just what happens when he recklessly moves forward, winging shots with no regard for safety for his opponent. Now, Danny Garcia, on the other hand, is a classic boxer puncher who is a good counter puncher that thrives during exchanges. Once Danny gets your timing down, he is able to land his power shots, and that's how he caught Amir Khan. Amir Khan is clearly faster, but Khan stayed within range, a bit too long, throwing quick combinations, and Danny landed a big left hook in between those combos, and eventually stopped Amir Khan. So here's my prediction. Porter is going to land some shots, probably a few headbutts too, but Porter leaves himself way too open for a Garcia counter. During a heated exchange, I could see Garcia dipping his head low and coming up with one of those counter left hooks and catching Porter. Now, I don't know if he will drop Porter, but it's going to get his attention. Now, Porter could back off a bit, fighting at a distance that would likely favor Garcia as well, or Porter could bite into his mouthpiece, go back to moving forward, throwing high volumes of punches, and going at Danny Garcia even harder, which would once again leave him open. Now, Porter can win this fight. He's a top welterweight, and he is a live dog with plenty of fight in him. But I'm picking Danny Garcia. There could be some possible knockdowns in this fight, but I'm picking Danny Garcia by a decision. I think he wins this fight. I think he will be landing the more cleaner and effective shots in between Porter's big wild shots. So, alright, my fellow boxing fans, go ahead and share your thoughts. Leave a comment. Who do you think is going to win this fight? And you can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Marz Solo, MarzSolo. So go ahead and like the video, and if you have yet to subscribe, go ahead and tap that subscribe button. And until next time, goodbye and adios.